Hey guys, I'm here today with YESI. YESI is a director of a preschool program. She's in Virginia, and basically, she has been working with kids for quite some time. Hers homeschooling and school now, and it's a immersion school, Spanish and English. So it's a great opportunity for kids to uh, learn both languages and really get engaged in more opportunities once they get to school. So, excuse me. So she provides a platform for a lot of things that can happen in the future. And what I wanted to do today was talk to Yezi a little bit about, once again, the platform that she's forming, and then also some of the opportunities that she sees for people later on, how parents, how community can best help kids at an early age. And then once again, what are some of the opportunities moving forward? So Yazzie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly. It's an honor and a privilege to be here.
Cool, cool, cool. So tell me a little bit about your school and some of the things that you're doing.
Okay, so we opened up 3 years ago. Actually, September will be 4 years that we've been operating. We actually did it smack dab in the middle of the pandemic because we just felt like our children should have the opportunity to socialize and to not fall behind. So that's why we did it. Last year, we had 12 students. This year, we are hoping to have double that. And
You
our
got it.
goal is
You
our
got
goal
it.
is thank you. Is to really have them. I mean, we're not forcing it, but just naturally, they're having fun. They are soaking so much in, and mostly all of our students come out of the program reading or ready to read. So at ages 4 and 5, they're reading. Um, and yeah, it's really exciting because pre-literacy is a big, big deal. We are a nonprofit. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We do see the need for specialty programs in communities of lower income families. So we are located in a Title I school district. And if a child can't pay, if a parent can't pay to send them to a good preschool that is not just a daycare, where the kids are not, there's nothing structured, they can come to us, and there
Which is a
is
good preschool.
they can come to us, and we're happy to teach them. Children learn language just naturally. So at 3, 4 years old, they're not going to get confused. They begin to just develop language, and then the reading comes together beautifully, easily. I don't want to say effortlessly, but just through practice and naturally sometimes, because we really don't force it. The teachers that I work with are fantastic. The other co-founder was a teacher for over 10 years.
Wow.
So and
Wow.
yeah,
So the combination of experience. And I love the fact that you know what you said. I don't know if you heard it when you said it. You're talking about fun, kids having fun.
yes,
Kids having fun. I
yes,
mean, right now I'm looking at, stats and reports right now, and I'm hearing about like mental health challenges that people are having, ages four, four and up, basically the challenges that people are having. I was wondering, based on what you're seeing in school right now, has there been a change before, since before the pandemic, during the pandemic now, as far as engagement, like fun, excitement, engagement, just the ability to obtain, retain, and apply the information that's given?
I can speak on the experience. So what I am seeing here, I am in Northern Virginia. I have a son in middle school, and I have two now in elementary, and then I have my students in preschool. So I don't know how other counties do it, but I do believe that fun should be number one. The United Nations actually has, I want to say, like an article where they say every child has the right to have fun. And I do believe that when there's trauma, when there's a lot of hardship, it does something to the brain, and it just makes it hard for children to learn and children to blossom and grow. So I can say, and I can attest, that fun is a huge big deal. If at least, because social emotionally, if a child is not mentally at ease and at peace and ready to learn and receive, they can't. If they're in a
How do they
state of,
respond? Do they act out in school? Do you see kids acting out, or do you see adverse behaviors?
Oh, for sure. If they're in their flight or fight mode, they're not receptive, right? If they're hungry, if they're upset, they're not going to engage. They're not going to socialize. Uh, I don't want to say adequately or properly, but in a way that's socially acceptable. So I do think that that makes a big difference.
And who does that impact? That impacts the other students, the teachers,
Everybody, everybody.
themselves.
Yes, because disrupting a class is not just affecting that one child, it's disrupting everybody. So the peers, the teachers, and then just having to kind of bring everybody back from whatever it is, a
So,
fit or the moment.
no, I said episode.
An
So,
episode, yes, yes. Mhm.
so when this happens in school, do kids have diagnosis at like age 4? I mean, do they have diagnosis that early?
Oh, yes, even earlier, they do. Yeah, they do.
So, one of the things I've been talking to people about and advocating for, which I kind of told you a little bit about, but I didn't go into a little bit too much, is right now. Well, actually, I've been working with this since 1999, not right now, but right now, I'm kind of pushing a little bit more, is a condition called PANDAS and PANS. And PANDAS and PANS are kind of like the extreme version of autism, ADHD, OCD, etc. One of the major differences between PANDAS, and OC, between autism and ADHD is the neurological component or the objective assessment. So with autism, it's basically kids who have repetitive behaviors. Please forgive me. Social awkwardness, and also impaired speech. With ADHD, it's achalasia, like they can't sit down, that moving all the time. There's the inability to concentrate. And there's one more thing, I can't remember what it was. I think it's maybe hyperactivity, but the bottom line is those are all things that you can see with your eyes, they're subjective. And if there's gaps in understanding the history of a child, like is this situational or is this continuous? Because I'm quite sure some kids are some do some kids act up maybe one day and then they're fine, or is it just a continuum that you find? Or does it vary?
I think it varies. I do think, I mean, I've seen it vary.
And so it's very hard to lump all kids into one category. But if you're
Right.
subjectively looking at something, or if you are forgetting to report all the details that, even though Johnny's acting up today, Johnny is a star on the football team, or even though Johnny's acting up today, he can, I don't know, hit 100 free throws, free throws. There we go. 100 free throws, in a week's time period. If you're forgetting to say with some of those gifts, what can happen is a child can very easily be lumped in with other kids on a diagnosis. And
Mhm.
so the differences with PANDAS and PANS is that there's blood work and neurological testing to make sure that condition exists. So when you're talking about trauma, when you're talking about physical trauma, emotional trauma, even like a virus such as chickenpox, flu, COVID, what can happen is the antibodies that are in your body that fight off that infection can actually then turn into autoantibodies and actually start to attack your healthy brain cells.
Wow.
So in your body, there's three, they're called your humor immunoglobulins. There's IgA, IgM, IgG. Not everybody's born with IgA. Not
Mm.
everybody's born with the first level. Some people it takes 30 years to get, some people, they never really reach the full amount. But IgA works with the sinuses, the lungs, and the gastrointestinal system. So you hear people like, oh, I can't eat milk because, hurts my tummy, or they have tons of ear infections or something like that, walking pneumonia. Sometimes they don't have
Mm.
the IgA that is needed to make that virus dissipate and go away. So what happens
Wow.
is because they don't have the IgA, the body then kicks into IgM and IgG. So IgA
Mm.
would just come in and like sweep those areas, get them clean, tidy them up, etc. IgG and IgM is like that Hoover vacuum cleaner that's, because they're thinking that they're going after like a bacteria, not just a virus. So they're used to working in that, that hyper mode. I'm so sorry. Technical difficulties. So basically, what happens is, as I mentioned, that IgA would come in and sweep it away. Well, the IgM is stronger, has a stronger pull, and what it does is it cleans out that area, but it's also cleaning out certain areas in the brain. So
Hmm.
it's taking healthy brain cells because it's autoimmune, and what it does is please forgive me, when it takes those brain cells, like you and I might say, if we're going, driving a manual car, you go first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear. People who have pandas, they go straight from first gear to fifth gear.
Wow.
So like you're standing there talking to them, all of a sudden it goes into rage. You give them 5, 10 minutes, they're calmed down, like, okay, why is everybody looking? It's time to
Mhm.
have fun again. Because they're not cognizant of the fact of how drastic the shift is in them, right? They're not cognizant of how drastic the shift is in them as far as being able to comprehend the situation. They go straight to extreme fear or extreme flight.
Mhm.
And if
Mhm.
that's not handled properly, or if that's not diagnosed, then
Right.
kids could be on, a lifetime of medication and other things. We see right now that reading comprehension scores are low.
Mhm.
We have a low percentage of individuals passing the fourth grade reading proficiency test in the US. Are you seeing, like, do behaviors like that impact people from your students or individuals from learning? Do you think that impacts them or could impact them?
Oh, of course, I do. There are so many different things that hinder the ability to learn for a child to learn. So 1,000%, if there's a virus, if there's an illness that, like you said, it's not seen, it's internal, it makes a big difference. There are so many factors. Even, I personally am very careful with what I give. I have 3 children, but there's one of them specifically who I really try not to give any red dye, any just certain things because different things have been linked to hyperactivity and loss of concentration, um, anger, like quick, short temperedness, agitation. I just think of how my body reacts when I take, shots of espresso, and if I haven't had anything in my stomach, how I feel, right? So I 1,000%, what's going on in our bodies is going to affect our mind.
Knowing that someone has a virus or has certain allergies that may not have been tested beforehand, right? Because you don't know that little Johnny can't have red dye, and you give him red dye, or his mom sends lunch every day with red dye, like red
Yeah,
meat,
without
red,
knowing.
huh? I was
Yeah,
gonna say
without
red dye in
knowing.
the meat, red dye in the salad, red dye in in the dessert, red dye in the drink. But
Yeah.
how does knowing this information help you and help the other kids in the class, help the other teachers, etc.?
I really think it would make a big difference. It would make a huge difference. And, even if I don't know what the healing is, maybe it's 100%, but perhaps even 50% to help somebody who is incapable because they're sick. If that would make a huge difference, it would make a big difference for them, for their peers, their family, and of course the teachers as well, but most importantly for the child, and to really be able to feel healthy and be able to have the opportunity to succeed like everyone else,
And
and hopefully.
engage,
Yes. Yes.
because the kid might be like, I don't know what's going on with me, and I don't want to be around other people, or I'm angry because I'm not feeling like everybody else, or there could be internal emotions going on with that kid that nobody seems to understand. They just know that they're a little different right now when this happens, and even helping other kids, because sometimes other kids could be the blockers and be like, nope, Johnny can't have, when I used to teach, I remember they were like, nope, he can't have peanuts.
Right.
Yeah. So, what are some of the things that you think parents, you know, community or whatever could do to help you in the process of making this even better? I mean, you've already said that the medical insight could help, the allergy list could help. Is there anything else that you think of could help or anything that can be done along the way?
I would say to really just take a step back and observe um, things that have changed. Food has changed, the way things are manufactured and made, and just take a step back, and just observe. If you give a child something, if you could collect some data, maybe to make some notes and really be sensible and sensitive, to each child, because every child is different. Again, we are all different. We're not impacted the same. Some people are allergic to cats, some people are allergic to dogs, some people are allergic to strawberries. um, and I think just seeing how I know as a parent, we have a lot already to do, but I believe my main mission is to parent my children and to really help them to be the best that they can be. And I have to observe and I have to see what affects them and what impacts them. So I would say just to be cognizant of maybe if it's too much sugar, and I'm saying processed sugars, not even just like fruits, but if it's too much sugar, and trying to eliminate certain things, and I do think that could help. I'm not saying that's everything, but definitely working with doctors and nutritionists would make a difference.
It could be eliminated. It could also be add. So I'm a strengths-based coach. So I love saying like document the high moments. Like what was something, somebody, Johnny did something, write it down, let him know, keep a note of it, keep the date, keep et cetera, et cetera. So now you know that Johnny can do 100 free throws, right? You know I don't play basketball, right? So now we know Johnny can do 100 free throws, right? So a week later, Johnny does 90, and you're like, come on, Johnny, you can do 100, but he does 90 and he's out. Another week he does 70.
Mm,
So now if Johnny goes from like doing 100 to 70, I know that there's something that could be wrong, and I can look at what happened between the 100 and the 70, right? But if I don't necessarily
yes.
remember that Johnny did 100, or let's say Johnny does 20, 21 day, 50 another day, etc. If I start to keep track of the highs and the good things and the affirming things, then when those affirming
Yeah.
things are not right, then it's not so much me, um, it's me encouraging Johnny to get back to a level that he's happy about. You know what I mean? That makes him excited. Sometimes when kids are not
Mm,
doing well and we continue to bring up the things that they're not doing well, it's just another weight or another burden.
mhm.
And you know, there's such a
Yes.
high rate of depression right now and anxiety.
Mm.
So sometimes I try to encourage like people to think of the highs, you know, and document those highs.
Oh yeah, and call out the good, and even the way we perceive children, they take on the identity. So if we're excuse me, in correcting, that's one thing that I do believe, not just calling out like what they're doing wrong, but hey, okay, maybe they made a huge mess. Hey, you're usually a really organized person. Like I know you can do this. So definitely, excuse me, believing the best and calling out the best is super.
I was
Excuse
talking
me.
to one mom, and she was saying to me, she said that she has a son with pandas. And she was saying that one of the things that she does is she makes sure that, well, I'm sorry, two different moms. She was saying that she makes sure that people around her know that her son has a disability and
Mhm.
that they don't talk and say negative things about him because he retains everything. So, like,
Yes.
you know, if there's later aggression or what, I mean, aggression, right? Aggression, it's because he recalls that you don't believe in him, you know, he recalls those things that you said. So what she does is she tries to encourage people to say, hey, look, you know, if you're going to say something or have a consultation, even though it may seem like he's not listening, you know, even though he may not talk fluidly like you and I, he still is taking in every single thing that you say.
A
So
100%. Yes, it's true. Children right now, truth for them, they don't know what's true and what's not. So whatever we tell them, they perceive as truth. So if we tell them, hey, your hands are gentle,